All right, thank you very much. In terms of the agenda today, we just went through some introductions and housekeeping items. We'll introduce everyone on the meeting in after this slide. And then we'll spend a little bit of time going through the background, purpose, and guiding principles of CST. I know for most of you, this is extremely familiar, but we do want to make sure that everyone's on the same page and kind of know what's going to happen in the next couple of months. We're going to talk a little bit more about the role as a subject matter expert, which we abbreviate as SME. You guys are very important to us, and we do hope that we want to have a great time working with you, and also making sure that we prepare you as much as possible for the upcoming Go Live. And then we're going to dive into the long list of questions that we have for you guys regarding the clinic. It is a requirements gathering session, so be prepared to be answering a lot of questions regarding the clinic. We'll be spending some time for any additional questions and next steps. I don't expect the meeting to be that long. We're expecting it to be about just a bit past an hour for this particular meeting. All right, so in terms of introductions, I would like to first have everyone from the clinic, as well as the professional practice members that have joined us, as well as clinic managers, to introduce yourself. So first of all, I'll start with Lee.
Hi everyone, this is Lee, the dietitian on the team for the Swallowing Clinic.
Thank you. Next, I'll have Corolla. Introduce yourself. Oh, I think I'm not picking up your audio.
Okay, there we go. I'm unmuted now.
Okay, perfect.
Good. I'm Corolla.
All right, thank you. And then we have professional practice. We have Kimberly.
Kimberly Noble. I'm the speech pathology practice leader for UBC Hospital and some other sites in Vancouver Acute and Richmond.
Thank you. And then we have Rose.
Hi, this is Rose, just dietitian practice coordinator for Vancouver Acute.
Thank you. And then we have Lauren.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lauren. I am the patient services manager, and the Swallowing Clinic is one of my portfolios.
All right, thank you. Just thinking on the clinic side of things, is there anyone else I have missed that I have not introduced? Don't think I see anyone. Okay, let's move on to the CST team. I'll have April introduce herself first.
Hello, I'm April Curry. I will be your ambulatory analyst for this clinic.
Thank you. And then we have Dolores.
Hi, I'm Dolores. I am your ambulatory BA for this clinic.
Perfect. And I haven't introduced myself. I am the informatics specialist for this clinic. My lead, Adrian, is away today, so I will be representing the both of us. Next, with the scheduling team, we have Donna.
Hi, I'm Donna Gare, and I am the scheduling application analyst.
Thank you. And then we have Rachel.
Sorry, just talking to myself. I am Rachel from the scheduling team, and I'm the BA.
Thank you. In terms of registration team, we have Andy.
Hi, everyone. I'm a business analyst from the CST registration team.
Thank you. From the medical imaging team, I believe I see Sam and Leslie.
And Calvin's here too.
And Calvin's here too. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, we're with the medical imaging team at VGH, BC Cancer, and we're helping out with UBC.
Thank you. And from the order sets team, I see Cheryl on the line. Not sure if she's connected to audio. If not, that's okay. Site clerical informatics, we have Maria.
Hi, my name is Maria Clara. I am BA from Registration Standard and Data Quality.
All right, thank you very much. From the specialty diagnostics team, we have Jordana.
Hi, I'm Jordana Dudek. I'm the specialty diagnostics team CST manager.
Thank you. And we also have Robin as well.
Hi, I'm Robin Organ, and I work on the diagnostics team as well, and I'm an exercise physiologist by background.
Thank you. I believe we have a few extra guests. Jessica.
Hey, I'm Jessica. I'm with the provider adoption team. Megan is also here with me, and we're both here for provider adoption, just to listen and kind of see what the providers may have kind of as some of their downstream impacts in various ways. So we're here observing.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Anyone else I have missed in the meeting? All right, if there's no further ones, I will dive into talking a little bit about CST. So CST stands for Clinical and Systems Transformation, and it does make a huge impact and it will transform healthcare systems to improve the safety, quality, and consistency of patient care. So as you may know, rollout of the CST project has been quite vast in terms of the different health authorities. We have done a lot of implementation with the Providence Healthcare, with PHSA, and also BCH. And now we are working for UBC Hospital. All right, so some of the drivers of the CST project, we want to make sure that patient safety is always first. We hope that with the CST system, we do want to reduce errors and adverse events. The best way every day, meaning that we want to improve quality and consistency of care. Face time, not chase time. We want to improve healthcare experience for patients and care teams, so we don't have to repeat things or trying to look for things as much as possible. And draw on data. We're hoping that the system does provide more quality data for research, planning, and proactive care. All right, as a subject matter expert, you guys are people who know the clinics or the inpatient areas extremely well, and we do ask you guys a lot of questions and probably a lot of help just to get a better understanding of the clinic. So you guys are representing your area to discuss workflows and recommendations for any future state workflow changes. And you guys will be helping us with any processes and workflows by helping us understand and kind of think strategically within this clinical setting. And also you guys are our stakeholders and helping us consider the requirements and needs if there are other similar needs throughout other health organizations that I previously mentioned. You guys will be helping us with any health organization policies and documentation that would help kind of design and create some of these workflows for the clinic, and also help us with those informed decisions with your area of expertise. All right, without further ado, I will dive into all the questions. How this is going to work is I'm going to show you a bunch of slides. Some of them will have a bunch of information that we have collected either through the kind of talking to some of the staff members that have been, we have been in touch, and also just going through some of the basic information as well. All right, so in terms of the UBC Swallowing Clinic, it is in the Kerner Pavilion at UBC Hospital. They use the radiology space on Tuesday, and currently the clerk does manage other clinics in addition to the UBC Swallowing Clinic, including PF Lab, but currently is not running due to staffing, and also the Clinical Nutrition Counseling Clinic. And I have been also told that Cheryl does cover other clinics as needed as well. All right. In that, the clinic hours run every Tuesday from 12 to 3. Is that correct?
12 till 4, actually.
12 to 4. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. And in terms of the team in the clinic, we have a speech language pathologist, we have an occupational therapist, we have a dietitian, and then we also have a clerk. Are there any other team members within the clinic that I have missed?
No.
Yep. Go ahead, Lauren.
Nope, that accounts for everyone.
Okay, perfect. All right, in terms of EMR, which is electronic medical records, I know that the clerk does use PCIS for registration and scheduling. Other than that, are there any other systems that are in use? For example, Paris or Plexia or any of that sort? No? Okay.
No.
Not from the clinic perspective, but of course, when the patient goes down to medical imaging, they're then entering the exam and scheduling it in IDX-RAD.
Okay.
And I should say that the registration or the scheduling in IDX-RAD is something that happens ahead of time. So the swallowing clinic is sending the information or the patient slate for the following week on, say, the Thursday prior, so that the medical imaging booking clerks have time to be able to schedule the patient into IDX-RAD prior to the patient appointment time.
Okay.
Are they scheduling into like assigned slots? Like, is it a dedicated time slot for them?
Yeah, the swallowing clinic has use of one of the interventional radiology suites from 12 to 4 on Tuesday afternoon. So it is up to the swallowing clinic to determine how many patients they're going to see and at what times within that 4-hour block.
Hi, Lauren, it's Calvin from MI.
Hey, Calvin.
Hey, so you guys give a heads up to MI just through a slate? And then,
yeah.
And then on the day of, you guys put in the requisition on the day of?
No. So on the Thursday, what happens is an email is sent with the patient requisitions and the slate for the swallowing clinic patients sent directly to the booking clerks via email, and then they're able to enter it in the system.
Perfect. Okay. I just want to make sure, yeah, we get the requisition as well, along with the slate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
Okay, and by means of clerk, you're talking about the medical imaging clerk, right?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, so other than PCIS and IDX-RAD, they don't use any other records systems.
We use PACS to access the images after the fact. I don't know if that is relevant, but the SLPs would review the images from PACS.
Yeah, that would be a streamlined system, because once the order is entered into IDX-RAD and an accession number is generated, it automatically attaches through to PACS.
Okay. Okay. All right. Are the SLPs the only ones that would access PACS, or would the OT and the dietitian also access it as well?
I believe it's just the SLPs. Lee, Carolla, is that correct?
That's right. Only SLP.
Okay. Okay, all right. And do you guys, other than the ones that we mentioned earlier, do you guys use any other systems to help with databases? So that could be patient databases, referral management, any of that sort. Not really? Okay. All right. So thinking about referrals, my understanding is that the referrals are most commonly from either GPs, ENTs, or potentially also solid organ transplant, especially the post-lung transplant.
Also GI refers quite a few too.
Yeah, okay. Any other specialties or referral sources that I missed?
I mean, other speech pathologists as well from acute care would also send referrals.
All right, and it is, the patients do not come without a referral. The referral must be sent. In terms of the referral, other than the referral form, are there any other documents that would be included with the referral form, and what would they be usually?
Yes, patient history, typically relevant previous investigations they've had or recent notes from provider visits.
Okay.
Or if they were seen from an SLP already, it could be prior SLP notes or assessments as well.
And can I just double check on one thing about the referrals? When we say the inpatient SLPs, is that capturing our own internal inpatient referrals coming from like CAMU, in addition to anyone else that might be coming as an inpatient?
Yeah, it could be CAMU, could be VGH,
Yeah.
or absolutely.
Okay, perfect.
Good point.
Okay, good to know. Okay, and then are there any instances where patient referrals are rejected?
Yes, if they are inappropriate, certainly we do review them and screen, and if they're deemed to be not appropriate for further follow-up with the clinic, then yes, we would follow up with the provider and the client that was referred.
And Kimberly, this is April. What makes a referral inappropriate? Like, what are you missing? Like, what could it be missing?
Yeah, lots of things. I mean, sometimes it's somebody who would be better served by a different test, for example, or somebody that's already being followed by another SLP service and receiving adequate care there. Generally speaking, it's somebody who a physician deems appropriate for our service, but potentially the physician doesn't have all the information about what we provide and what we offer. So,
gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. And of note, if there's missing information, just like the referral itself hasn't come with complete information, we do, Cheryl, the clerk, reaches out to the provider and asks for that to be sent over. So we wouldn't just refuse or reject based on the lack of information. We do try to seek that out.
Okay. And how do you reach out to this last question? How do you reach out to the provider? Do you call? Do you send an email? Do we send a letter?
Cheryl often faxes them back because typically our referrals come through via fax. So she would then fax with a pre-printed request for additional information about the client.
Okay, thank you.
No worries.
Hey, hi, it's Robin. Can I ask a quick question? Sorry for my lack of knowledge on this. What's CAMU?
It's the sorry, Lauren, did you want to?
All good.
What does it stand
Kimberly.
for?
Yeah, CAMU. So CAMU is the second floor med surge unit, and it stands for Complex Activation Medical Unit.
Oh, so it's at UBC though.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Sorry.
No problem.
Okay. And does the clinic manage internal and external referrals the same way? Right now, everything just comes through fax for you guys?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, essentially, if it was somebody coming from CAMU, we wouldn't necessarily fax it because the SLP could just walk it to the clinic. But for the most part, the referrals are faxed.
Oh, okay. So if there's referrals or fax, so you do see CAMU patients when they are still in the unit?
That would be, yes, we do, but they wouldn't have to be referred through the outpatient clinic if they were inpatient. So we would follow them, but that's sort of a separate workflow that we would chat about in the inpatient SLP session.
Gotcha. Okay.
I'm more talking about the situation where somebody is at CAMU, they're going to be discharged, and then they would ultimately need to be followed up by the outpatient clinic. If that was the situation, then we would fill out the same referral form that we do for all outpatients.
But can you clarify those patients that you say inpatients done as an inpatient? Are those separate SLPs? They're not booking in your book or anything like that, or are they?
Separate SLP. It's a little complicated because we have a vacancy right now. We're kind of double dipping, but it's 2 SLPs.
Okay, so that would be more of the inpatient workflow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rather than this clinic workflow per se.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I just wanted to make sure we weren't like you guys weren't slotting times into your outpatient clinic book for them.
No, it's separate. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay.
Although, can I just to complicate the situation, Kimberly knows we've dealt with this for years, but sometimes if the outpatient clinic weren't going to be using a space, then it could be reallocated to the inpatient unit if there was an inpatient that was needing to be done. But that again is something that the SLP team manages internally because they all work together on booking. So it could be that a normal outpatient slot is reallocated to an inpatient.
Yes.
That's probably like a last minute thing though, right? Where you're just kind of saying, oh, we have this open slot. Does anybody want it today?
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. In terms of triaging, I know the SLP reviews the referrals and triages, and there is a wait list. And with the triaging comes with a telephone screen, which the SLP does. In terms of that, what else would the SLP do as part of the triage screening process?
Yeah, so that's essentially it. The screening tool has questions that are pertinent to dietetics and occupational therapy too. To make things easier, the SLP is the one that makes the phone call based on the answers to the questions and the associated information we've received with the referral. We would assign the patient a PIC, like a priority intervention criteria number. And then based on that number, we slot people in according to their severity of their dysphagia and the urgency of the need.
Okay. So we mentioned if there are incomplete referrals, Cheryl will fax them back over to the referring physician or whoever was referring to obtain as much information. What about when a referral is accepted? Do you provide any communication with the referring provider?
Not typically. Usually they would only hear back from us if it was not accepted. They do, like clinics will call and ask if the referral's been received, and we would then follow up with them and confirm.
And if it is rejected, what would be usually sent to the providers?
So typically the SLP would follow up with the provider and give the reasoning for why the patient was deemed to be not appropriate for the service, either by fax or by phone or.
And then, okay, all right. Once the referral is accepted, does the patient need to do any labs or diagnostics prior to the appointment?
No.
Okay. Not sure if you guys know this, but do you guys know approximately how many patients are on the wait list at this time?
No, but I can look at our spreadsheet and get back to you.
Okay, sure. And then what's the time range that a patient would stay on the wait list typically?
It depends on the pick. So if they're a pick 1, generally we try to get them in, ASAP within 1 to 2 months, but we do have people that are waiting more than 6 months for sure.
Okay, so pick 2 would be 2 to.
Yeah, 2 to 4 months probably,
4?
and then
And then pick 3 would be
more than 4 months.
4 plus, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, Steph. Sorry, can we go back to the second last question about the diagnostics? How are you guys getting the requisitions from the referring? Are they faxing the requisitions for the swallow to you guys as well currently?
Yeah, so the actual referral form is a requisition with a physician signature on it.
Okay. Are these physicians, are they family practice, or are they from VGH, or it could be anywhere?
It could be anywhere. Yeah.
Okay.
And if the SLP is the one that is referring, who would be the signing physician?
Would be the attending physician for the patient. So if it's an inpatient that's being discharged that they want to refer for outpatient follow-up, then the attending physician would be the one that signs the referral.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Sorry, one more question.
To discharge? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, one more question. Because you guys do these at VGH as well, how do you guys decide where to send the patients to, either UBC or VGH?
Currently, the outpatient swallowing clinic is only running out of UBC hospital at the moment. So there are some very occasional outpatients that get seen at VGH, but they're generally by exception currently.
Oh, perfect. Okay, good. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else about triaging before we move over to scheduling? Okay. All right. So in terms of scheduling, we do have Cheryl that supports the clinic in addition to the other aforementioned clinics. She does manage the appointments for the clinic, so that would include receiving the referral through fax, registering the patient, and also scheduling, and also taking care of kind of putting that slate together and sending it over to medical imaging every Thursday, it seems like. No private secretaries or MOAs are involved with this clinic. And also, I will move this to 4 p.m. Radiology space is booked for this particular clinic on Tuesdays between 12 to 4. All right. And in terms of patient check-in, so when that patient is arriving, who actually checks in the patient?
They're being checked in by the radiology clerical staff. They arrive to site at radiology for their appointment.
Okay. And are you guys using any automated appointment reminders at this time?
No automated. Cheryl calls the day before to confirm the appointment and sends out an email sort of the week prior.
Are you guys interested in setting up something with an automated room?
I would say yes.
Yes, please.
That's what I thought, but I do want to ask. How far in advance do you guys book appointments typically?
It really varies. Sometimes they are booked within 2 weeks or the week before. Other times they might be booked a month up to, I would say, 4 to 6 weeks ahead. We don't typically book beyond that unless it's somebody that's out of the lower mainland. So sometimes we do see patients from other parts of the province that don't have access to services. And so then we would coordinate with them when they're planning to be in town.
Stephanie, can I ask a quick question before you move on?
Yeah, for sure.
Sorry. So just, I think I'm missing something. Do you only do the swallow studies in your clinic, or do you provide, like, do patients come to do things other than the actual swallow study in your clinic?
So it's a consultative service. We do, the majority of what we provide is assessment. Mainly it is the video fluoroscopy or modified barium swallow in radiology. That would come with then providing recommendations to the client, not just for swallowing, but also from dietitian and occupational therapy as well. And then very limited capacity to provide follow-up beyond that. So it might include a phone check-in from the SLP or from other team members, but there's no capacity to provide ongoing treatment.
So it's really just they're coming for the swallow study, because I'm just curious, because you said the radiology clerk checks everything. So are they checking everything in, or they only check in the appointments where they're actually doing, like, one of the IDX studies?
Yes, like if they're coming in for a video fluoroscopic swallow study or a modified barium swallow, that would be when radiology would check them in.
But the patient still comes to the same location if they're doing something other than the study, or no?
We don't often have clients coming in for in-person appointments that are not related to a modified barium swallow. That would be the large majority is patients coming in to radiology for that test and seen by the team there. If we're seeing patients for a virtual consultation, then you wouldn't necessarily need anybody to be checking them in. That would be the other situation.
So are your patients, so obviously when they're given an encounter, they're given a radiology encounter with a radiology location?
Yes.
Current state?
Yes.
Okay,
And
but you guys are a separate entity as the swallow clinic, right?
Yeah. See, this is where I think it is a little confusing, because Kimberly, correct me if I'm wrong, but I would say outside of the MBS exams and the swallow studies that the swallowing clinic is doing in radiology, none of the other work that you guys do is scheduled into any system, correct?
I think that is correct. I don't know if Cheryl puts the virtual consults on PCIS as an encounter.
Yeah, I'm just pointing this out, Stephanie, because we might need to discuss this, because radiology is, radiology, and they have a med service of radiology. And if they need something different for your medical service, for any sort of clinic location.
Well, it sounds like, sorry, I just want to go back. So you get the referral, which really is your requisition, because you need a physician signature, correct? So that's your requisition for the study. Then you guys triage it. Are you doing a virtual consult before the patient goes to the actual MRI location?
So sometimes they're actually not even related. Like they might have a virtual consult based on the referral, and then that might be all they actually need. And then they wouldn't even need to go to radiology, and that would be the end of the service. So it's a good point, Robin, in the sense that it's not always that they go to radiology and that the encounter is there.
Yeah, especially if you guys, and I don't know, we haven't gotten to that portion yet, so I won't jump too far ahead, but especially if you guys have billable services that are outside of that swallowing study itself, I just want to make certain we have a complete system for you when we move forward.
Yep.
This is Lee here. Kimberly, correct me if I'm wrong, but I know that some SLPs will book follow-up appointments after the study to provide education on the exercises and things. So that I think Cheryl will book them in the PCIS. And
Okay.
then when we were doing during COVID, when we were doing more Zoom screenings, Cheryl will put those in PCIS, I think.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't sure about that piece if she was actually entering the encounters, but that's good to know. And yes, certainly sometimes we would do in-person or virtual follow-up for explaining the results of the study or providing treatment suggestions.
So just to one point of clarity then, do you have a dedicated clerk to your clinic outside of the radiology clerk or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, you do? Okay, great. That's perfect.
Sorry, one more thing. The OT and the RT portions of the clinic visit, are those booked as one big appointment where SLP is seeing them, OT and RD is all seeing them, or are they kind of like separate appointments within PCIS?
I don't know if Cheryl's booking specific appointments for OT and RD. OT and RD and SLP all are working together for that set appointment, but I'm not sure if she's assigning OT and RD as providers and entering separate.
We can double check the details with Cheryl when she's back next week. But I believe that she is entering the MBS3, I think is the code, into PCIS and scheduling it in there, but I don't know that she's adding any other providers in there for it. She is sending an email to include the RD and the OT and the SLP so that they are aware of the upcoming slate. But I don't think that that information is being added into PCIS with the MBS booking.
Okay, gotcha.
And I do question if there's double duty happening. Does it need to be added in PCIS if in reality the exam is occurring in radiology and is already being entered in radiology under a URAD account or ORAD account? I don't know. Again, something that's on my list to talk to Cheryl about when she's back next week.
I think we might just want to also check with finance as well to see if you guys, if that's important in order for revenue.
Yeah, good point, Robin.
Kimberly, I have one more question about the requisition and the referral. So the physician will send you a referral. You guys will do a consult. And then once you decide that this patient needs the barium swallow, do you go back to the referring physician to get them to put in requisition, or do the SLP just puts it in on behalf of the referring?
No, so the referral form is adequate as a requisition. So we don't need to request a separate requisition. The referral we can use for whether we see them for a virtual consult or if we actually do want to see them for a modified barium swallow.
So I think, Leslie, this is similar to our specialty diagnostics where the referral in their language is our requisition. So it really isn't a referral per se. It's they're doing the diagnostic order is what they're sending in, and then they're triaging it. So just like MI, it's the actual requisition. It's not really a referral.
Yeah, what I'm thinking is because with CPOE, with other physicians in Cerner, when they put in the RF order for barium swallow, and they choose a location where they want that barium swallow to be done at, and they'll choose UBC, that requisition will get routed to the MI department.
Yeah,
So-
we'll have to
Yeah.
discuss that. We
Yeah.
have a workflow. There is a workflow at St. Paul's. It's very similar. There's a swallowing, there is an order that comes we've worked out a workflow with Emma.
Okay.
We'll share with you and we start prepping for this.
I also, just speaking from historically, I come from medical imaging and I was part of setting this program up. And so part of it is that the radiologists don't really want to see or triage these requisitions because they recognize that they are not the experts in swallowing. And so their preference is to, or was to have everything routed through the SLP. And then if the SLP deemed that it was required, then it was done carte blanche. And the same goes for the inpatient referral process. If I'm remembering correctly, Kimberly, you guys too as well, the radiologists are happy if you guys are seeing that patient for an inpatient and it's SLP signed off, that gets sent down and it just gets booked without question.
Yep, that's correct.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else for this particular?
It's Rachel from scheduling. I just want to confirm that I understand the scheduling part that earlier it says telephone screening will be completed before scheduling by the SLP. Can I confirm, one, who will be doing the telephone screening, and B, if that telephone screening will be scheduled on the PCIS?
The telephone screen is not scheduled on PCIS. I can confirm that, and it's the SLP that completes the screen.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. So right now, I've been told that the clinic sees about 4 to 5 patients per week, and walk-in patients are not allowed. Doesn't sound like we need recurring or repeating with patients because it's more of a one-time assessment, potentially just a quick follow-up after that. Is that correct?
That's true. We do have patients with neurodegenerative conditions that we might consider booking in for another appointment later, but typically they would be re-referred. Yeah, we don't generally have recurring appointments.
Okay. Would there be a need to schedule or coordinate staff such as spiritual health, social workers, First Nation advocates, or interpreters at the appointments?
Could be. We definitely have interpreters occasionally.
And in terms of the requisition, it would be the referral form is basically the requisition, and that would be kind of like that requisition order.
Yeah,
that would come into play. Okay. In terms of Cheryl booking appointments and communicating to the patients, in terms of new appointments, reminders, I know you guys said email and phone call. What about new appointments? Is it phone call and email as well?
Usually, yeah, she will often phone, and if they have an email address that they are regularly using, she'll send through some documents, like some additional information that we request from the clients ahead of time, and that would be via email if possible, or mail if not possible.
And the initial, any appointment is really organized, I believe, via the SLP directly with the patient when they're doing the telephone consult, correct?
So yes, we often, especially if we're trying to fill slots in the very near future, we'll often probe and ask if clients are available in the next 1 to 2 weeks. But Cheryl typically is the one that slots them into specific time periods. It is a bit of both. SLPs do a little bit sometimes.
Yeah, but Cheryl will always do the follow-up. So if it's confirmed a day and time, the follow-up is still happening by Cheryl.
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
And is that the same for rescheduled or cancel appointments? They'll be communicated through phone.
Yeah.
And potentially email?
Yes.
Do you guys have a no-show procedure, or should we have Cheryl kind of come back?
We do typically follow up with no shows and inquire as to the reason and generally allow them to rebook if it's within reason up to a certain number of times. We don't have a set 3 times you're out kind of a situation, but we do follow up with them for sure.
Okay.
Who follows up with them, Kimberly? Is that the SLP or is that something that Cheryl's doing?
Usually Cheryl, if it was like if Cheryl would typically call first, and then if the client had a question about the procedure or was unsure if they wanted to do the test anymore, then Cheryl might ask the SLP to follow up and provide some more information.
Okay. Do you guys do any clinical trials within the clinic?
Not currently.
Okay. Have you guys done it in the past before?
Not within my knowledge, no.
Okay. Okay. So like you guys mentioned earlier, the patient arrives at the radiology department and the radiology clerk in a way checks them in if they are doing non-virtual consults. Virtual consults, they will be just done through Zoom, is that correct? Okay.
Stephanie, I think we just need to clear, like, I think the way I am understanding it though is the consult is not really part of the appointment, like the diagnostic test. That's something like that that's a separate appointment, because when we talk about the modified barium swallow, that's like when they're actually having the test. So they're 2 different things, right?
Yes,
they are 2 different, they're 2 different things, and they might be occurring in sequence. So sometimes somebody has a telephone screen, then they have a virtual consult, and then they have a modified barium swallow. The majority of the time, somebody would have a telephone screen and go directly to a modified barium swallow. And occasionally somebody would have a telephone screen and then a virtual consult, and that would be the end of the service they require.
Okay. The reason why I mentioned that was the tagging onto the OT and the RD at the time of the modified barium swallow, basically. And that kind of happens all together at once after the modified barium swallow, basically.
But I think it's just that it's 2 like separate, like you have appointments may be done over Zoom. The modified barium swallow can never be done over Zoom. It's a modified barium swallow, it's in medical imaging department, and the Zoom appointment is a separate appointment.
Yes, correct.
It's just the way you have it written, sorry.
Yeah, so if the patient does not require a modified barium swallow.
Well, I think they're saying like they might have the Zoom regardless of whether they have this modified barium swallow.
Yes.
Right. So I think it's just the way it's written.
Okay.
They might have a Zoom appointment, they might have a telephone screening, and then they might have the modified barium swallow, and they might have all 3.
This is Lee here. Just to add, the virtual consult has been doing more often during the COVID, but we haven't been doing too many of the virtual at this time.
Do you ever do in-person consults instead of the virtual one?
Sometimes, but for the ease, people generally prefer virtual.
Okay, and my question is, the appointment for the MBS includes the OT and the RD pieces as well too.
Yes, everybody is involved when the patient comes in. We work together in the radiology suite. So it would be all three, SLP, RD, and OT, all seeing the patient.
And then who's there from MI? Anyone?
The radiology tech.
Okay.
Sorry, Steph, one more
Yeah,
thing.
for sure.
Is there a radiologist there as well, or no?
Yeah.
Available for consultation, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but they've now moved over to the structure where the technologist is doing the fluoroing, and then there's a radiologist. The abdo-rad typically is the one that's there to provide consultation as needed.
Okay. And Lauren, you probably know this. They'll probably dictate on that a session number afterwards, right? As well.
Yeah, they'll dictate fluoro time. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Thanks.
Okay. All right. So I guess you guys have a pretty good system going on and currently for radiology and also for the clinic itself in terms of booking. But are there any other scheduling information that we might need to know for this clinic?
I don't think so. If I think of anything, I'll let you know.
Okay, if there's none. Just thinking about health information management. I guess this is kind of similar to what we asked before. Other than HIM and the radiology ones, are there any other systems that are currently in use? No? Okay. Okay. All right, so like we mentioned earlier, the referral / requisition is received through fax, and some of the other documents that would support the need to kind of help with prioritization and also just kind of giving pertinent medical history and information of the patient will be sent along with the fax. And in terms of health record storage and processing, are you guys using health records, or was it is any of the paper kind of sent over to something like Iron Mountain?
The files are stored in the clinic in filing cabinets for the required amount of time.
Okay.
And then they should go to Iron Mountain.
Yeah.
Okay. And any of these documentations, are they in color or are they grayscale, basically?
Grayscale would be fine, yeah.
Okay. All right, just thinking of the day of visit. When the patient comes in, the radiology department checks the patient in. Does the patient get an armband upon arrival? No. Okay.
No.
So, and then in terms of the first point of contact for the patient would be the radiology clerk, basically.
Correct.
Yeah.
We know that there's Cheryl, I should say, clinic clerk, and also radiology.
Can you just differentiate though? So that's radiology check-in. What about your virtual consults or your telephone? Are you recording those? Like, are you as visits?
So Lee thought that Cheryl was entering that, but that's something we need to clarify with the clinic clerk if she is attaching the, like scheduling them on PCIS.
Okay, and do you notify her like that you've had a visit, a telephone call? Like how would she even know to do that?
Yeah, we like the SLP or if multiple people had seen, yes, they would liaise with the clinic clerk and let her know.
Okay, so I think the process is you're letting the clinic clerk know when you have a telephone or
Yeah.
virtual for check-in.
Yeah.
When you guys doing the virtual consults, what do you guys use to confirm the patient identity typically?
Name, definitely. I'm not sure if the SLP has been asking for date of birth. Lee, do you know?
Well, usually we send the Zoom invite over to their email or the family member's email. No, mainly just the name that we are asking. And usually if we need to do a Zoom, Cheryl will add that on the scheduling. So I would think she would put into the PCIS. But I don't think she would put in anything in PCIS if we are just making a phone call, whether it's prior or after.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay, but for the virtual consults, that would be, then we will have to confirm whether or not this is put on PCIS, basically. Yeah. Okay.
For your phone consults, are you scheduling them or are you just calling when you have time?
Usually just calling when we have time.
Okay.
And the phone consult, just to be clear, you're referring to the telephone screening, right?
Yes.
Okay, and not another virtual / telehealth consult.
Correct. Though
Okay.
that could happen too. But yes, I was referring to the telephone screening. That would happen just ad hoc when the clinician has time.
Okay. Okay, and do you guys know when the patient checks in, what that process looks like typically?
It'll be exactly the same process that radiology uses. So they'll be double checking patient identifiers. They'll be checking the referring physician, checking for family physician, same process for any of the other medical imaging patients.
Okay, and would the SLP, OT, and RT kind of be at the radiology suite when the patient arrives? Okay.
Typically, yes. Yeah. The rad tech often lets us know when a patient's been checked in.
Yeah, the patient gets, so as part of the check-in process, the patient gets arrived in the IDX rad system, and then the technologist sees that on their screen in the back, and then someone is able to go get the patient. Typically, the patient, I think, is sent around the side to wait outside of the interventional suite.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. All right, and I know you mentioned earlier that there was potentially some information that you need the patients to fill up prior to the appointment. What would that usually be?
So we currently are sending along an EAT-10, so like a quality of life measurement for swallowing difficulty. And Lee, do you want to comment on the dietetic?
Yeah, we usually ask for the 1 to 2 days of food records, and then the comment on the side, what are the foods or they're having trouble with.
Okay. And I guess in terms of the OT's needs, do they have to fill in anything, or do they provide anything to the patient to fill in prior to the appointment?
Carol is shaking her head. We're
No.
not currently sending anything along for them to fill in ahead of time, but there are OT specific questions on our screening tool.
Okay. Okay. All right. So specific to the SLP, So right now, the SLP does review the chart and does the triaging and prioritization prior to the appointment. Does the clerk prepare the chart typically for the clinic?
Yes, she does.
Okay. Well, I should change this because there's like typically do not have follow-up, but there could be potential follow-up.
Correct.
I would also think it might be important just to note that it's the swallowing clinic clerk that prepares the chart, because of course we don't want to add extra things for medical imaging. We know they don't have time.
Okay. Does the SLP do any health history updates in the chart typically?
Not typically.
Okay.
I just asked, sorry, you said you prepare the chart, so how does it get down to medical imaging?
The SLP usually carries the stack of them down that the clinic clerk has prepared.
So for the day, or do you do
Yes.
it the night
Yeah.
before? Yeah.
All right. And do you guys have any databases to keep track of your patients?
Yes, there's a spreadsheet.
So right now it's just like an Excel spreadsheet.
Yep.
And is it on G Drive typically?
Yes.
And would there be a possibility where pictures or images will be part of the patient's chart?
Not typically.
Okay.
Can I just ask one random question about this, because I was reviewing it yesterday with one of the other clerks. Kimberly, I think you guys are still in your screening. You're still, or at some point, you're having the patient fill out like an audio visual consent form. And it seems super archaic. And I'm wondering if that's related to back when we used to use the old room 4 and we were videoing the exam.
Yes, that I think that probably was historically from there. I'm not sure. Essentially, we're asking them to sign that form as if we wanted to, could we use the images? So in theory, I think it would still apply because we could pull the images from PACS and use them for quality improvement.
I think you might want to double check on that, because I'm not certain that you actually require that form in order to do that, because it's kind of implied consent with the health authority, given we're a teaching institution.
Okay.
And any images that you would borrow, you would have to anonymize anyways.
Yeah.
So you might just want to double check, because then we could cut down by a piece of paper.
That would be great.
Sorry, Stephanie, can I just interrupt? The spreadsheet that you have there, what are you tracking on there? What are you tracking about your patients?
It's mostly just for scheduling purposes. So it says any referrals that come through that were appropriate for another outpatient swallowing clinic, such as in Richmond or on the North Shore. Cheryl would write a note and say referral sent to X clinic. Or if somebody declined to be seen, we write a note in there so that we know if we receive another referral from a physician for the same client. Yeah, if a referral came through without sufficient information, Cheryl documents that she's faxed the clinic back to request further.
Okay, so it's kind
charting.
of like your wait list, tracking information.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, and can you tell me more about the patient departure process after the appointment? Is there anything that they need to do typically?
Not usually. I mean, we would provide them generally with recommendations and teaching at the time of the appointment in as much as possible. But if they required additional follow-up, then we would potentially be calling them to schedule a follow-up visit. We don't provide them with the report at the time of the visit because it would not be written yet.
Right. Do you guys send the report to the patient after it's been completed?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And the report is the one that is up with the template where all three kind of write into it.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I have access to that one. Does the patient get any handouts when they leave?
We might email them handouts or additional information, but we don't typically hand them anything physical at the end of the appointment.
Okay.
I usually carry a few common ones if they need, like the thickened fluids and things like that. I usually give them a copy, and then we do keep some samples of the thicken up clear powder there too. So I'll give, if needed, if they're new to thickened fluids, then I'll give them a few samples there. If I don't have anything available with me, but if they need, then I usually email them a copy, or if email not available, I'll just ask Cheryl to mail them out.
What about the, actually I have each section, so I can talk about it for each person a little bit later. Okay. All right.
Stephanie, can we just go back? You at the very end, you said thickened fluids. You don't actually hand out thickened fluids, you hand out thickener that they can then thicken fluids with. Just to make it clear.
You're talking about the little Nestle packets, right? Okay. Okay, so in terms of the SLP, other than what is noted on the team template, is there anything else that the SLP documents on, or the team template is basically what they would document?
The template that you have would be essentially what is documented, yes.
Okay. All right, and then in terms of the task of this clinic, what would the SLP typically do?
So we would review any additional case history as necessary if we had questions following up after the phone screen. And then we would carry out the modified barium swallow.
Okay.
And analyze and provide recommendations based on the study.
Okay, and I think we answered this one saying that it's basically booked as one appointment and not separate appointments for each of the clinicians.
Yeah.
And then that you guys do occasionally do follow up. And if the patient does have concerns in between clinic, in between visits, or maybe in between the follow-up and the assessment, is there a way a patient can communicate or kind of call in?
Yep, they could call either the clinic clerk or the SLP office number. We often provide just a business card with that detail.
And we have down in medical imaging, sometimes the patients call medical imaging, but then the clerical staff there just let them know to call the SLP or to call the swallowing clinic clerk.
Okay. All right, in terms of the dietitian, do you document anything else outside of the team template?
That's pretty much it, other than if there are any significant medications that they're taking, then I may kind of add that on. But otherwise, that's pretty much it in the template.
Okay. And do you guys, so in terms of tasks, you guys are basically doing more of a assessment service, just kind of going through as a nutrition assessment, basically, and provide nutrition counseling.
Yeah, usually, once I get the slate, for the appointment, then I usually review the chart, before the appointment day. And then
Okay.
kind of, and then usually if, they will be able to send us the diet history or food records, before the appointment, I will review that before going as well. Or on the day of the appointment, if they bring anything in, then I'll review that with them. And then based on the results of the swallow study, if any educations and recommendations, then we'll provide a consultation afterwards.
Okay. You guys don't share. Are there instances where the patient calls the dietitian specifically, or would it be more just the clinic itself?
If they do have any questions for dietitian follow-up, they can always reach out to Cheryl, and then Cheryl will forward the request to me. And then I'll just kind of connect with them, either a phone call or email. If I feel they need a bit more support, I would usually, if they don't have any other access to dietitian service, I would usually refer them over to the outpatient nutrition clinic.
Okay.
So they get a bit more time and then get more history too.
Okay. All right. Carola, outside of the team template, do you have anything else that you would document on?
No.
No. And would you be able to just quickly describe some of your tasks in the clinic?
So I set up the food. So we need to add barium to real food, and so I set that up. I also set up the chair and assist with the technician with setting up the, whatever that machine's called.
Okay.
And I then also feed the patient, or I give the food to the patient. Either way, it depends on what state the patient is in. I also position the patient in the chair or in their own wheelchair, so that way the image is as good as you can get it.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No.
Can I just ask, I know you guys, thank you for bringing up the food. Do you order your food from the kitchen? And is that a diet order that's placed in PCIS?
It's currently a separate fax that's sent through, so it's not put through PCIS. It's just sent directly to the kitchen currently. Occasionally, we have clients bringing in their own food as well if they have specific dietary restrictions or specific foods that are causing them difficulty.
Yeah, I know that there's an order inserted from the live sites for the swallow tray. I just wasn't certain how your current state was set up. And do you go pick that up, or is it delivered to you?
Lee kindly picks it up and brings it over for us.
Okay.
So yeah, I set up physically position the patient in relationship to the machine.
Sorry, that was a little bit muffled. I don't think I caught that.
So I physically position the patient.
Okay. Okay, and are there instances where the OT would get get questions from the patient that's not related to the team itself?
No, but I do ask some of them where I see that they're more physically disabled. I ask them again the questions that are on the template.
Okay. All right. Okay, so in terms of procedures and treatments, we noted that it is in one of the suites, and the MBS is done at the clinic, and then after that, the team template is completed after. Everyone is basically involved in the whole process. The SLP, DLT, the RD, the techs, and the radiologist as well, if needed. Anything else in terms of the procedure itself? And any questions from the CSD teams that they may have?
Sorry, I just want to ask a bit about the completed assessment. So you do the procedure, and then I guess I was just wondering, in the procedure, what is actually being documented while the procedure is going on or immediately following versus what do you have to wait for a report from radiology before you do your assessment? I guess just trying to understand the workflow.
No, so we can analyze the images and write up our impression and our recommendations immediately after the study is completed. Generally, that's done the following days. We don't need to wait for a radiologist interpretation. As Lauren mentioned before, the rad techs do dictate the fluoro time. Is that right, Lauren?
Yeah, the rad tech writes down the fluoro time on the requisition, and then the radiologist dictates the fluoro time that was utilized, but they don't actually interpret the study. That's left for the SLPs, and I think that they maybe put a note in their dictation to see the SLP report.
I believe that we settled on that, yes.
Yeah, so fluoro time and please see the SLP report is what the radiologist will dictate.
And do you know, I don't know if you know the answer to this, or maybe our radiology people do, but your interpretation, is that on your encounter versus the MI encounter? Like, I'm just wondering, because the procedure is happening there, but your assessment sort of, like, Robin, do you know what I'm getting at? I'm just wondering, like,
this is often a gap because people like other physicians will often look to the radiologist's note or analysis and then see that it says, oh, see SLP. So a lot of people do have the misunderstanding perhaps that the radiologist is the one that actually provides the outcome and the analysis. So that's a very good point. We do often have confusion around that, but it is the SLP that is the one that completes the report.
Yeah, I'm just trying to understand if it should be on your own encounter so that it's like, looks like your visit versus the MI encounter.
Potentially, although it would also be helpful if it somehow could be attached to the MI encounter, because a lot of people, like other physicians, would want to know if somebody has had a modified barium swallow done, and if they are looking on PACS or on Care Connect.
Well, the result lives across. It doesn't matter per se. The results, like, they cross encounters. I was just kind of curious though, like when you're looking at in the chart, if you would look to the SLP encounter, or your swallowing encounter, or you're going to look at an MI encounter, which is generic, right? So you wouldn't really know that that's an MI. Yes. So anyways, just something we can think about.
Yeah.
And then another question. So your result, who does that get sent to? Do you guys fax that to?
Yep, our report gets sent out to the patient themselves and the referring physician and the family physician. And then if we were making a recommendation or a further referral for other SLP involvement, such as a community SLP, then we would also copy them on the report.
Okay.
Jordana, do we know what St. Paul's and say Lionsgate are doing with their MBS or video fluoroscopy encounters?
I'm gonna look it up. I want to find out more. And you know what, we kind of did this, we worked on the workflow a couple years ago, so it's sort of fuzzy in my head, but now it's causing a lot more questions come up. So I was kind of curious about it.
I know the practice lead at Lionsgate has told me that they were like scanning and sending the SLP report so that it would be attached to the radiology encounter, or like they were trying to cross post things so they were easily visible
in packs.
Yeah.
So like if somebody looked at the imaging, said, oh, this patient had an MBS, looks at the imaging, and then your report would be there as well.
In Care Connect for sure. I'm not sure about PACS.
Yeah, I don't see, I think PACS would only have the imaging and it had the radiologist dictation, but it won't have yours. So that's why I was just kind of curious about it.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to do the same as whatever is working currently out there already in place in the Lower Mainland.
Well, I mean, the good thing is that going forward, when you do your note, we can have it distribute automatically to those people as well as live in Care Connect, and it'll go out through Accelerus. So I think that'll be a big win, but
yeah,
just try to figure out like which encounter it's sitting on, I think.
For sure.
Can I ask you, and Stephanie, if you have a separate slide for this, sorry, just tell me to wait. Where's the dietitian's role in all of this? And I saw you had a registered dietitian. Oh, you have it a whole slide. Okay, thanks, Stephanie.
Yeah, we went through that just now.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so basically because of thickened fluids and nutritional needs, then the RD would be involved in that sense. Yeah.
But is it known, I guess, for that person? Are they known what studies they're going to be involved in? Or is it something that happens after like from the scheduling perspective? Are they known ahead of time who they're seeing?
Well, all three of the professionals are at all of the studies essentially. So
okay.
Dietitian would be present, as well as the OT and the SLP.
Oh, okay. Okay, great.
Also, just to keep in mind, I know we can talk about this a little bit later, is their team template is done with everyone signing the template as well. So we do have to keep in mind that this is a multi-contributor note piece for sure. All right. I guess this one's a little bit of just a generic slide. Are there any lab blood work performed for these patients, or typically no? No, right?
No.
Okay. And then the diagnostics would be just the MBS, or the assessment would be just the MBS, typically.
Yes.
Do you guys refer to any further diagnostic testing or not so much?
We don't refer directly. We might make a suggestion in our report that further diagnostics could be investigated, but it would be the physician that would actually make those referrals.
Okay. Okay, the next set of slides is the order set slides. Cheryl or Agnes, do you guys want to go through these?
Sure, I can quickly just go through them. Basically, I'm Cheryl from the order sets team, and I'll be building any power plans required for some of the UBC clinics that are going live. So our team, basically we collaborate with the provider and non-provider subject matter experts to design, build and validate and maintain power plans, which are basically your pre-printed orders in the Cerner system. We try to design and build in order to, so that all these power plans can be used across the enterprise. So at VCH, PHC, and PHSA. We want to use standardized regional and latest evidence-based practice. And we collaborated with a bunch of teams within CST to make sure that they are appropriate and all the orders downstream work properly. So Stephanie, if you go to the next slide. So basically all we need to know is, do you have any pre-printed orders or any orders that are like policies, pathways, protocols, anything like that, that contains orders that would be useful to have built out into the Cerner system?
I don't think this clinic has order sets, I guess is what we're understanding.
Okay,
I was
and-
curious though, the only other way of looking at it though is, does anyone have a pathway that sort of connects to you that they get an automatic request, or would a power plan be coming to you guys because of it? Is there certain types of patients that get referred inpatient from an inpatient space that would be?
Not so many that it would be an automatic one that would be included on a power plan, I don't think.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much. That's all I needed to know.
All right, thank you. Reporting and billing. Do you guys run any reports typically, let's say in PCIS or other systems?
Do you know, Lauren? I'm not sure if Cheryl's pulling any data, but it would be helpful for us to know like how many clients we're seeing annually, or yeah.
Yeah, I agree, Kimberly. I'm not sure. I haven't seen anything since I've been in this role, but what I would say is that we definitely want to have the ability to be able to do that, because we're going to want to be able to keep track of, the numbers that we're seeing.
Yeah, our biggest concern is, are you getting anything printed from PCIS that's going away that we'd have to make sure? We have a lot of statistical reports that you can run automatically right now, but if there was anything unique to your clinic.
Not that I'm aware of, Robin. Yeah, but we can double check with Cheryl. I mean, I've been here now since September and I've never seen any reports or statistics. So I think we're probably good to go with what you guys have in Cerner.
Agreed.
We'll start fresh.
Okay, and because there's no physicians, but there is the radiology piece, are there billing related reports?
I don't know if there's a report, but can you guys provide us with what you send to MSP, what codes you send?
The codes that go to MSP will be the medical imaging codes, the exam codes. So which we won't see. Kelvin, would you guys be able to send the exam codes?
Oh, if it's the med imaging part, that's fine. I just didn't know, are there anything else that you guys are submitting? Because I know PTs, OTs, and SLPs can submit some professional fees. So I wasn't certain if you guys are getting any sort of compensation back for any of your consultations, or any sort of
and nothing for the interpretation.
No.
Okay.
Okay, awesome. Any potential changes that we know in the upcoming months for the clinic that you guys are aware of?
Not necessarily a given, but there's potential. So MBS is one diagnostic swallow assessment. Another one is fees, which you I'm sure have heard of too, the flexible endoscopic evaluation of swallowing. We don't currently have that equipment at UBC Hospital, but we're working on requesting that. So in the future, there's potential that a fees could be done either as well as or instead of an MBS as a possible diagnostic.
Do we know where we would do that?
Nope.
Oh, great. Okay.
Not yet. Again, this is very preliminary, but I just wanted to put it out there as a potential future. It may not be, in the next year or beyond, but just so you're aware.
Yeah, and I would say the other changes too is the swallowing clinic is very much at the mercy of the radiology schedule. And so at any point in time, if radiology says we need to change your day because of this, that, or the other, obviously it'll be a consultative situation, but there could be a change in days, times, whatever, so that we fit in to what is currently happening in medical imaging.
Okay. All right. All right. So we went through that you guys don't do clinical trials. Do you guys have downtime procedures?
I don't think you guys would just wait to write your note until if you couldn't get access to the computer.
That would
the
be
downtime
fine.
procedure, again, would just be MI related.
Okay. All right, and that is the end of my questions. In terms of the next steps, I thought since everyone is here, I thought I would get, maybe we can start deciding when our next session is, the design session, and also a validation session. So the design session is basically kind of collecting all this information that we've collected from you, and a few more things. And then what we're going to do is we're going to start kind of thinking about how that kind of looks like in the future with Cerner, kind of thinking about some of the questions that everyone has raised up today, and kind of putting everything together. And then the validation session would be just to confirm, saying, hey, this is kind of how it's going to all look like, and making sure everything is working as intended. We do have the beauty of previous clinics that have already gone live, so we can definitely pull in some of the design and all the information from their experience, and we can definitely use those, but we also want to make sure that we are capturing some of the things that you guys need specifically for the swallowing clinic at UBC. So I'm actually going to stop recording.